gotten a little bit with InCharge over the years, but I haven't, but those have proprietary databases.
Yeah, it is.
Which was a problem for me because then I couldn't really customize my reports.
If you looked at, was it Q and E?
Oh, Q and E, right.
Because even if it may not be able to do what you want now, but if you give Nathan
Woodruff.
The suggestions, he may add it.
Yeah.
His one of his complaints is nobody's given him any feedback on what to do with it. So look at the
Q and E.
Q and E. Maybe something like a quick and easy is the Q and E. Nathan, what's his Woodruff.
Yeah. That's very good.
There's also another accounting package, and it's on the website of Bitwise Works. There's only a slight downside. It's in German currently, but it is actively being developed by the German developer that also maintains WD Pascal builds, and they're selling it currently. It's under active development, so you might want to check that out. And I don't know if somebody would volunteer to translate it from German. Maybe it's something for you, Louis.
Is it designed to take other languages the way it's built now?
That I don't know. But knowing that developer, you probably made it in such a way that you have a separate file with text strings in it.
Yeah.
So that's not a thing you could consider looking at. I don't know, but he's pretty active in the German forum on OS2.org. So I don't know if he wants to. If somebody wants to volunteer translate it and then bring out their language.
I have this civil package, and I use it from time to time. And yes, he has some things that are written in English, but not a lot of it. Most of it is still in German. I still end up having to copy and paste and translate when I'm reading a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, and the translation that Google Translate does in certain German
That's
words
so
is not.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, I don't know your name. But
Oh,
yeah.
I'm Brian Hughes. I'm
Brian.
actually from Wichita.
Oh, excellent.
I don't. I use OS2 differently, I guess, than you guys do. I don't use it for general purpose machine. I design custom solutions. And Kansas Turnpike is all OS2.
Oh.
You gotta run the turnpike, everything.
What do you mean by everything? The tolls or?
Every car, every light, every buzzer, every gate, every ticket, every
Really?
ETC system. It's over about 750,000 lines of code.
Splendid.
Designed, written by me.
Excellent.
And so yeah, we're big OS2 users, but we don't, we have our own desktop. We replaced the desktop with our own custom desktop, which is a custom solution. I mean, it's basically an embedded solution.
Yeah.
And so I don't have the same needs that you guys do.
That's terrific.
We have the needs of drivers, obviously.
Yeah.
Hardware. So as long as we have I/O controllers and graphics chips and NIC cars and things like that, we can keep it going. But it's an active project. I go there every day. I'm an ex-IBMer. So yeah, I don't.
Well, thanks for that. I maintain the New York City subway software in a very similar way.
Is that Cubic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, similar industry.
I know Cubic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Stu?
I'm sitting here hiding behind Roderick. Well, I started with OS2 back in 1993, and at the time, I was rapidly making transitions from my TI-99 onto a Zenith laptop and Windows 3.1. And there were things about Windows 3.1 that I just couldn't stand. Like dragging it back to where you want to be, And caused me to have problems with, when I would go to if I don't like a program, I want to be able to just delete this directory and have it go away, But you got all this other stuff lying around, and run the system and the program. And so we could really simplify the product for the dummy like me if we included all those files. If they work with that program today, they'll work with it 15 years from now.
I think Andy will have something to say about that.
Well, he may.
When we talk about DLL issues.
Well, he may. And you know, I'm not saying it's a be-all and end-all, but it's a goal that we should be working for. Because to make it more appealing, it's important to make it simple. Another area that I would like to see some work on is, you know, the new file manager that came out with this recent release.
The file open container.
Pardon me?
The file open container. The
Yes.
file dialog.
Yeah. That guy is the virtually identical to the one in 3.1.1 Windows. Okay? Which in itself aggravates me just that it's, you know, a knockoff of Windows, so to speak. It has a couple of enhancements that are good. You know, like you can say, you look back at your history of directories and so forth. But I don't like that it doesn't just stay put. Like, a lot of times I'll be working in the directory for half a day, you know, and I don't have to keep telling it to go back there. I would also like, and this is over and above that comment, I'd like for, instead of having a default directory, a default setting, so to speak, just update the default every time the thing changes directory, so that the default directory is going to be the one that you're working on now. So if you go away and come
The
back.
way Smart Suite remembers your last directory when you open it.
Yeah, okay. Now, one step above that would be to have a default directory for saves and a default directory, not default, but you know, my active.
Most recently used.
Yes, for save and a different one for open, because sometimes you're doing, like you're bringing it in here and then you're putting it over there after you fixed it. I shouldn't have to keep telling you that, right? That's
I kind of have that complaint with OpenOffice when I'm exporting to PDF.
Yeah.
Because I want my PDF to go somewhere else. I don't want it to go where my editable documents go.
yeah.
And then it will remember where I put that PDF, and the next time I want to open a document,
Yeah.
it's looking over for the PDF directory.
Yeah.
That's a pain.
Now, the file open container that I like to use is Xfile. Because one of the things it does is it has a row of your disks across the top. So if you want to change, you know, drives, you just punch the button. You don't have to slide up and get all this. You just punch the button and you're there. And it also has
Directories.
editable, you know, directories and stuff like that. Now, I was okay with the old ECS file open container because Xfile, when you open a program or something, it would, when you were in a program wanting to open something, then it would call the old container and Xfile would
Replace it.
pop up, okay? When y'all went to the new file open container, you broke that.
Then you can disable it.
You can disable what?
You can disable the new file container that you switch it off.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
And then what happens?
Then you get the old OS2 version back.
Okay.
Can you configure by application?
No, it's global control, so it's either on or off.
I want to know how you do that.
In fact, it's in one of the smart guides in the ECS2 installer again, so you can turn on or off, or you can find it in the install folder.
We'll look for that. Off. You know.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
the,
keeping notes as to what issues people are bringing up, so.
Okay, thanks.
We should move on. We should.
If you received my email thing where I talked about all this stuff, one of the things I tell you in there is that I have a degree of dyslexia, and reading for me is painful. You know, it just takes me forever. And when I was in college, I spent 20 hours a day studying, which leaves precious little for anything else. And I was still making D's because
reading for retention, I would have to read 5 times in order to, build the thing in my mind where I can remember it. They're just in that kind of time.
Sid, we'll come back to this, but I think we have to move on.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
What?
We have to hold this.
Okay, I guess it's my turn. Glenn Zamorsky, I worked for IBM, and before people either attack me or come and, help me. I was picked up by IBM as part of an outsourcing project. I've supported OS2 in one way, shape, or form at this current customer for about 20 years. It's only a piece of what I do. The customer has a completely dedicated GUI premium processing system that utilizes OS2. They're struggling, probably like a lot of other places, with integrating this. I mean, it's stuck 10 years in the past or more. I'm supporting it in 3 flavors right now. I was primary lead in virtualizing it onto the Windows Virtual PC platform about 10 years ago. We're actually running a Frankenstein version of that on Citrix. And yet laughed. I said it was a bad idea, and it was a bad idea. And also, you guys can really laugh about this because I know you guys all like these machines. We still support about 200 OS2 compact desktops. Which also, there's some credit to the way those things were built because they are now heading into their 20th year at least. They were new when I started at this place 20 years ago. So yeah, we need to talk about drivers. Very interested in that. I'm interested in utilizing Samba as a bridge to explain to Roderick. I have 3 production changes later tonight, and I'm trying to stay on top of those. So.
You mean the world doesn't stop when Warpstock?
Yeah, those days are gone too.
So, hi everyone, I'm James Sanders from TechRepublic.com, and I'm here covering Warpstock, trying to determine why are people still using this thing, and
it works.
and what sort of future these platforms, I don't want to call it a legacy platform because I imagine that I will get things thrown at me. Platforms that are not really with large user bases, like Ecom Station, like Haiku, or the React OS Russian re-implementation of Windows, and what role these really play in the enterprise. So I'm really here more to listen than to provide any words of insight.
Thanks.
Okay.
I guess most of you people know me. I'm Roderick. I've been with Mens for close to 12 years, something like that, 13 years. And after I left the company, I went on
Okay.
I'm Jim O'Connor. I'm a hobbyist. I've been attending Warpstock for a number of years now. Primarily an OS2 user, EFP station user to lay aggravation on my younger son, who was employed by Microsoft for some years before he ascended to greater heights. And I have a problem with being adventuresome because I've installed the beta version of Econ Station 2.2. And some strange things happen. Probably when you're first here. But my biggest issue with it is that I used a modest drive space of 5 gigs. And I discovered that before I used it very long, the whole space was eaten up. It disappeared. And I can't find where it's all jammed up. So I did the next logical thing. I installed it on a 10 gig space. And the same thing happened suddenly, but I can't in any way, shape, or form find where it's all bunged up. But the whole
I think
thing
we can help point you to some likely suspects and some tools to help you find out where that space is going. That's a common issue that we deal with on many different platforms. So, excellent points.
It's an aggravation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I still love aggravating my son.
It's not really the operating system, it's probably one of the applications such as Firefox or Thunderbird. I don't know how big your archive is, I'm just picking a few things here that could be also there.
Or Yum put something on there.
Browser cache, Yum.
I've been through all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
John and I have growled through, subdirectory by subdirectory.
It's not one of the easy ones.
Well, then we'll talk about some of the utilities that help analyze disk space usage, and it'll help you track.
Just give me some
what's
tools
used.
and I'll play with it.
That's good. Okay.
And when I'm hung up, I have to resort then to going over to the Windows box. But I still prefer to use Econ Station, and I like TM Mail, and it's becoming more and more of an issue as time goes on. But strange things happening there, but I'll leave that subject out to the moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Dr. Race?
If people have issues with PML, you should talk to me because PML is a voice project, so there is still active development being done.
Wow. Or me as project manager for it.
Oh, I forgot.
All the solutions will be there then.
Sorry, I'm still a bit jet lagged.
Yeah.
So I got onto OS2 because I was sick of waiting for my Windows 3 computer to complete one, have the app in the multitasking system. So I've used it through its iterations right up to the rest, although I've been off of ECS for a while, but I brought 6 computers with me, which are now at the airport in Chicago, and I'm going to get one of these. So they're supposed to come this afternoon. I'm going to get something going here. So, but anyway, I have 2 issues. One is because I'm involved in a lot of things. So I use, my goal is to use ECS for personal productivity, but I'm involved in other things professionally. Some things I need Windows for because some places only take Windows or ActiveX. I've got a CCTV system. I'm on the board, we should have ActiveX for that. And I'm getting involved in voice over IP. I'm bringing up some asterisk servers so I can have connectivity by voice around various places around the world. So I need Linux for that. So I'm working on creating a universal machine, and I might even give a talk about this next year if I get it going. But the goal will be to get Linux and ECS and some version of Windows, probably Windows XP, which works well enough and is stable, on one machine. So the issues there are 2 things. One's from the software side. Do I want to make these different Google partitions, or do I want to use virtual machines? So that's one category of things I'm very interested in. I'd like to do some testing, whether we can talk about that maybe. But the second thing is the hardware. And the way I have solved this problem, I have hardware platforms that work for me for my needs. So I've got a whole bunch of T43s, and I keep switching out cars. Well, I should tell you that I drove my first car for 50 years. And my second, I gave it to my wife's nephew. And now my current car, I'm going to drive for another 15 years. And this is doable. The first one was a Volkswagen Beetle. The second one is a Volvo. We love them. We got 3 of them now. They're great cars. So these, so and then I bought some T60s. There's this wonderful thing called the MIT Swap Meet. And the third Sunday of every month during the summer, I got a whole bunch of T60s for $10 a piece. So the newer, so I've been reading them. I want to upgrade so I can get more memory. That's the only reason, basically. But to what extent are new systems compatible with ECS? And okay, so IBM taken over by Lenovo, the ThinkPad line. I read frightening stories about how some of the new, the keyboards are no good. They've got chiclet keyboards, they've got trackpads on them, things like that. So I'm interested in the hardware issues of what is the new hardware that's acceptable to load ECS for this universal, the platforms for the universal machine. So that's a project I'm working on. I'm hoping to get a little helpful on here. But I'd be willing to give a talk on the document, the whole thing, because I think other people may have the same thing. Sometimes you just have to have Windows. So if it's all on one machine, then it's easy. You can use it for any application.
Okay, thank you. Let's continue snaking around.
Okay, the only thing I can think of right now would be, I personally would like to see some traction, which we're getting some now, but I wish we'd had it for years ago, is the virtual box with a host for on OS2, the host on OS2.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I don't really care to have OS2 in a virtualized system, but I would like to be able to virtualize my Windows, which I can under Connectix, but then I don't have some of the things I'm needing. Like I can't access a DVD drive. Don't have audio. Well, I got some audio, but I can't access the DVD drive. If you go to the older virtual box that we have, you can get. I'm not able to get DVD drive, but I got no sound. I lose one or the other depending on what you go to. So I'd really like to have a good virtual machine so I can run those Windows apps that I need. If I need to access Lotus Notes on there, I could, or whatever. That'd be the second thing, is if I could just run newer Lotus Notes on it.
I've got a copy of Lotus Notes. I just gave it to
newer version will run on the...
Well, it's not new, but it was made for OS2.
Oh, yeah, I've got that.
Oh, okay.
But I guess it doesn't connect anymore.
Well, it'll connect, but then when you connect to the newer databases, it throws a bunch of use LSX errors because the new databases have things that the older client doesn't.
Notes is on version 9, and for OS2 the last one was 4.5. Yes.
There was a 5 beta that actually existed, but I can't find it anymore.
Oh, look, I may have it.
To get it to work as a client, I had to do some playing around to make it work as a client, but on beta. But once they moved to the actual the GA, I couldn't get the client to work at all.
My name is Tom Mangdahl. I'm with Brian and Tim here from the Kansas Turnpike. Just happened to notice that Warpstock was in town, and so we got curious and thought we'd come see what's going on with OS2. I've only worked with OS2 maybe in the last 5 years, so most of what I know about it is kind of reactionary and upkeeping what we currently have. A lot of stuff I've dealt with recently is the changing landscape with how credit cards are read here and having to keep our drivers and stuff up to date. We just recently, about last year, actually a year ago, we upgraded all of our computers from old IBM industrial machines to, Dell 380s. So kind of the stepping stones on.
So do you guys have any issues with ACDI, USB connectivity?
We did have a little intricacy, and that's probably because we didn't have it set up right, where with USB, if we had, the Dell machines insisted on using multiple processors because they've got 2, and it only supports 1. So if it would work with multiple processors, unless you touch a USB device during the boot up at a certain moment, they would cause an internal processing error, and you have to keep rebooting. So
luckily, we have the USB maven with us.
Yeah.
And the ACPI maven.
Yeah, so we haven't really had the need for anything that's 3.0. But
These are more embedded systems.
Yeah.
And now they don't even use USB virtually.
So your stuff doesn't, I mean, how are you doing, your card reading connections are through?
Well, card reading, the new PCI system at the lane or at the computer level, they are at USB. And at the dedicated machines, I either pay with cash, coin, those are 232. So everything in the system, other than that one reader, everything is 232 has been written to the TCP/IP stack, and I go through a RS-232 to TCP/IP hub. And so basically, you offload everything off the computer, just like IBM used to have an Arctic card. I did all the Arctic work years ago for this. Removed the Arctic card, and now it's all TCP/IP. It's all cross-platform. The whole system will run OS2 or Windows or Linux or AS400 or you name it.
Gotcha, okay. Interesting. I was just curious about those Dell machines, whether you run it down.
The only problem we have is they don't like, there's a lot of, well, on some OS2, like my older laptop, it only works with certain USB keys, and they're not being opened by phone.
Okay, yeah, but that work is in process, and we can talk about some of that.
Yeah, they're not.
Okay.
Yeah.
and there's a cute thing you can do to a key to make it readable, even if it's larger. So.
If I could jump in, just as someone from Wichita, there's no way this is ever going to be replaced, is there? The entire OS2, just in consideration of the budget of the state.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Because keep in mind, the Turnpike is still a separate entity. We're quasi-government.
Yeah.
And just recently, well, in 2013, the Secretary of Transportation became our boss, where he was just always like a board member, a person, and now he's our top level boss. But we're still a separate entity, you know, because we're solely supported by the tolls. So we don't get any tax dollars and other things. I mean, we're solely supported by the tolls that are paid on the Turnpike. So as a separate entity, we're not subject to state budgets and things like that. And so, I mean, something Brian, you know, dealt with over the years, but so just keep that in mind. As long as we stay a separate entity and don't become under the umbrella of KDOT, you know, we can do things like move off of OS2 if we need to or want to, and, you know, move the Turnpike forward. Of course, we don't want that because we feel like we have, in Kansas, we have the best road in Kansas, definitely, and then even across the United States, we feel like we have the best toll road anywhere because we have that emphasis of putting things back into the road or back into the toll system, and, you know, monies aren't getting robbed to go.
Yeah. Well, I guess like anything else, it's a cost-benefit analysis. When it gets to the point where it's cheaper to replace OS2 than maintain it, then you can look at replacing it.
Right. And it's more than just maintain it. I will tell people in an enterprise, this is an enterprise solution. It's a fully distributed, very sophisticated solution that is as up to date as any solution out there. We're not maintaining it. We're not only maintaining it, but actively developing it every day, to this minute. And it can do anything.
Okay. Okay, how close are we to time?
6 minutes.
Okay. So
Is it my turn?
Yeah, it's your turn.
Well, I'm with Thomas and Brian. My role is more support, but it just reiterates that driver support. I mean, recently we've gone through some things where ECS would run on a Dell 380. So we're looking at some things where it wouldn't run on a Dell 390 or a 3010 because of driver issues. And finally, a Dell 3020, we got it to work, but with Thomas's help, we got it to work, but with some glitchiness and things like that.
Okay.
And so, and just, you know, a small frustration, you put that out there to somebody at Mensis that give us a list of what works, and then we'll, you know, research that and go from there. But, you know, their response was, well, gosh, it should just work. you know.
Someone at Mensa's just said that
But-
something's just working.
So, you know, I mean, actually, I guess his comment was, you must have found the black hole on something that doesn't work.
Well,
We're like, great.
You talked to me.
Yes, I don't remember that. But.
Yeah, I remember the email exchange.
Okay. Well, we can remember if it was you or not. So.
In fact, I gave one of you guys.
Was you at home?
What? Were you at home?
Probably. Well, because
sometimes I work late in the office. So.
Yeah, and you know, we're in Wichita, Kansas, and you were in Holland or wherever you were at, and so it was like, okay, it was tough to get back and forth. And nothing against you, Roderick, but it was just one of those
The
frustrations.
reason that there has never really been a compatibility list is because, you know, when I was at Mensa's, we were testing 40 or 50 systems at the same time. And one of the things that we noticed over time as stuff progressed is that we found out that we had systems where you would tell, well, if you take this system, and you would then a couple of months later, the cases were rare, I will admit, but for example, a new BIOS version was released, and then ACPI stopped working because they changed it. And that's where we always, I remember your issue that was with the ID driver from Daniela Engbert that you were having, that system wasn't booting, and that's where the phrase came from, that you must have found the black hole. That driver, in fact, those sources were so good at the time that IBM backported that stuff in their own IBM ID driver. That's right. So, and that driver basically also has a generic mode to operate ID chipsets, so that's why I was absolutely flabbergasted that it didn't work. So, but that's why there never really was a hardware compatibility list, because we've had cases where we recommended something to a customer. We also didn't know, for example, with HP, sometimes it would be a hell on earth to get a response from them, how long certain systems would be supplyable. So, yeah, that's why it never really came up. And if you look at ECS and some of the drivers that we have, I think the primary issue has always been the NIC and the USB support, but apart from that, it's pretty generic in terms of what the system needs to do to video, mainboard, and chipsets.
Where our challenge was, like Brian said, you know, we're developing this ongoing. So for us, it's key that our hardware, because we can't always just stay on the same hardware for 10 years. You know, because stuff fails and whatnot. I mean, not the compacts, but, you know, so in moving forward.
eBay. No, that's what we tell them, eBay.
All right, we have,
Anyway, we've got to move on.
Okay. Let's see, when did I first start using OS2? 97 or, 87 or 88.
Yeah.
It wasn't even released. But,
85, no.
well, it was pretty early beta.
Yeah.
Because I was with IBM at the time. I can't believe I've been retired for 25 years.
Wow.
Sort of retired. Retired from IBM. The biggest problem I'm getting, and the questions I get, are on newer machines, drivers for the wireless.
Yeah.
And the difficulty, I've never quite figured out how to patch the things to try to make them work.
Oh, okay. Well,
But that's the biggest thing I've run into.
I should probably show you what I know.
Yes, I'm Roy Hardy. I've been retired 25 years, as he has, and I work for the state of California as a mathematician statistician, so I sort of carry over this in my amateur activities. And I had, in 2012, I had Neil make me a new machine, and when he first did it, everything worked well. I had 3 hard drives, one for each operating. I have 2 forms of Linux, Ubuntu Score, which is a music orientation thing for computer music. Then I have Scientific Linux, which is the enterprise form of Fedora recompiled for the math and kind of things I like to do. And it has all the stack packages in it, which we don't have on ECS. But I use ECS for most of my work and the things I do. And it's just a hobby now. But I haven't, I sent the machine back to Neil at the beginning of 2014 or the end of.
Did you get it back?
Yeah.
Oh.
But there's a little problem. Before the Ubuntu score worked and loaded properly with AirBoot. He put in AirBoot as the boot manager. But when I sent it back to him for some updating and things, and I wanted an additional hard disk, I wanted a fourth hard disk, and sent it back, and I cannot get Ubuntu to boot, and I've reinstalled it, I've done this, I've done that, but Scientific Linux works like a charm. And so it's very frustrating, and I haven't solved the problem. And it's using, but no matter what you do, you can't prevent the installation process of Ubuntu from putting in Grub 2 no matter what you do. You can't stop it. And I think that's what's screwing everything up. But I haven't found a solution. Suggestions are welcome. That's all I can say.
I've got that noted. I'm Louis Rosenthal from Arkanoe, and I don't have any issues, but I'm here to listen to people's issues and suggestions for new stuff from us. And we are actively involved in developing and enhancing the OS2 platform. And hopefully we should be able to keep it viable for another 25 years without having to go to eBay to get hardware. That's at least our plan. So I'll do my best to help with the issues that we've heard here. I've been a Novell and OS2 consultant for too long. Since I guess 1987, 88, OS2 into the early 1990s. And I'm kind of like the last guy standing doing Novell, OS2 and Novell connectivity. So I get some odd questions from around the globe as to, we found a NetWare 312 server still sitting in the closet at our enterprise, and the uptime says 15 years, and we have an OS2 machine here that's having problems connecting to it. Can you help? Yeah, actually, I probably can. But odd things and weird driver issues and whatnot, I'm here to help. So I don't have any issues to bring to anyone else today.
I think we should move on to Steve's presentation.
Move on to Steve.
We'll come back to this because we have 2 more sessions dedicated to it.